What's going on, guys? It's another Monday night. The Raw after Backlash. You know, Raw tonight was in Knoxville, Tennessee. And they were down about 5,000 from what they did in that very same building a year ago for SmackDown. Now, even 5,000 down, they still had like 9,000 people in the building. Healthy crowd. But still, 5,000 down from where they were a year ago. They may as well have had nobody in the building for much of the show, because it sounded like they were wrestling in an empty warehouse for most of it. But you know, one thing I noticed tonight, there was one person in particular missing from this show. And it didn't really hit me until tonight how much of a nosedive this show has taken since he has disappeared. And that is CM Punk. There's been no CM Punk over the last at least 2 weeks, maybe 3, I think 2 weeks. And his presence is missed on this show. I don't know if we're going to see him on Raw again. I still feel like when we do see him again, he'll end up on SmackDown. But man, this, what a slog this show was to sit through, especially the first half. There was more that I liked in the second half than the first half. But like the first 90 minutes or so of this show, man, it's so boring. Just so boring. And look, the quiet crowd didn't help, but at the same time, there were a number of things on this show I don't necessarily fault them for. And then there were a few other things where I wish they were more excitable than they were, and they weren't, and it just sounded like we were watching Raw in a library, and, you know, that doesn't help. But I can't blame them too much. I'll tell you what also doesn't help. We did not have a single women's championship match at Backlash, one of those titles being the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. Now, Stephanie Vaquer is out with a legitimate injury, and we don't know when she's going to be back. It's going to be at least 6 weeks. And so I'm sure we would have ended up with a rematch between Stephanie and Liv. So we didn't get that. I am looking at the show, and I am looking at the roster right now, where everybody seems to be slotted, and I don't see there being any challenger on deck for the women's world title. Liv Morgan has no challenger. I mean, think about it. Asuka is gone. For how long? Is it permanent? We don't know. They said on Raw tonight that her status is up in the air. We'll talk about her because she was on the show tonight. But for the time being, Asuka is gone. She's out of the picture. Iyo Sky was on the show. She didn't seem terribly, bothered by the fact that, hey, maybe I should go after the Women's World Championship. They had her in a random match tonight with Ruka, who is clearly going to be going after Becky Lynch and the Intercontinental title. So they're going to go off and do that. And then Raquel and Roxanne and Bayley and Lyra and all the other women of Raw are basically obsessed over the tag team titles, which don't mean anything. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, they have nobody. Liv Morgan is without a challenger. And that's not very exciting either. I don't know what happened. I felt like the Raw Women's division was kind of in a pretty strong position there. And not to say the entire division isn't, but as far as the top of the card, it just seems very barren right now. And they're going to have to work on that. They're going to have to do something to fix that, because I don't know what they're going to do. They certainly didn't hint at anything tonight as far as Liv Morgan is concerned. Maybe it will be Iyo. Only because by process of elimination, I'm not sure where Iyo goes from here. Rhea's over on SmackDown. Kairi's gone. Asuka's gone. What's left for Iyo to do other than challenge Liv Morgan for the World Championship? The show tonight was built around an acknowledgement ceremony. Roman Reigns wanted Jacob Fatu to acknowledge him. Adam Pearce wanted to fire him. Roman said, you can't fire him. Can't do anything like that until this man acknowledges me. It was in the contract. It was stipulated in the contract that he signed, that he must acknowledge me if I beat him. So the entire show was built around this. As it turned out, Jacob Fatu did not acknowledge Roman Reigns. In fact, he just beat the shit out of him and the Usos, which was the best part of the entire show. And I was happy to see it. And that puts to bed, for now anyway, any idea that the Usos and Jacob Fatu, maybe they're in cahoots, right? Maybe they're like this. That doesn't appear to be the case. And we are no doubt going to see Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu yet again for the World Heavyweight title in Italy. In fact, we may not see Roman Reigns again until we get to Italy at the end of the month. I mentioned Iyo Sky and Ruka. They had a match tonight. I enjoyed it. Nothing blow-away, but I thought they had a good match. We had the first ever AAA Mega Championship defense on Raw, which ended the way that every other Judgment Day match always ends. But it was a historic night because it was the first time that that title was being defended on this show. We had week 2 of the Oba Femi Open Challenge. I feel like I was one of maybe the few people defending this idea when it was first mentioned on the show a couple weeks ago. And even the match with Otis last week, I thought was fun for the 2 minutes it lasted. And now we get to this week, and it already feels like this thing is just completely running out of steam, and we're only 2 weeks in. Even just to get to Night of Champions, if they were to do a King of the Ring tournament again, just to get to the end of June, continuing to do these open challenges at least for another 6 weeks or so, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they get there. We're already at the point 2 weeks in where nobody wants to accept the open challenge. So we put Angel and Berto on the show in the back just so they could be the sacrificial lambs. The lambs being led to slaughter. And Oba Femi can toss around Los Garza. Very exciting. I kind of feel like a dope for defending this idea, if this is what they had up their sleeve. We had a couple of matches made for Saturday night's main event, which is coming up a week from Saturday. 2 title matches. I will tell you what those matches are. Boy, you know, I post one sarcastic tweet, and it was early in the show, because again, the first hour was fucking boring. I don't give a shit what anybody says, man. The show was fucking boring. I post one sarcastic tweet, and you should see some of the comments I got. Most were in agreement, but you should see. You would think I committed a felony by hinting at the fact that Raw was a boring show tonight. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. The cultists online, it's scary. Very scary. Not as scary as SmackDown, but still very scary. This is your Raw review. It is Monday night, May 11, 2026. I am the Solomonster. Thank you for hanging out with me here on a Monday night. Never boring. Never boring with you guys. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Super chats are open. I will be reading all of your messages if they come in, as they come in, later on here in the stream. Let's spin for it right now. We're going to find out how many likes we need to do our Be the Booker segment. Bots. Now, you know what? Some of them might be bots, but they're not bots. Some of them are not bots. They may have rocks for brains, but they're not bots. 515. That is the goal here. 515 likes. We have a ways to go to get there, but if we hit 515, we will be doing Be the Booker. Just did it the other night. Booked some very interesting matches the other night. All right, let's get into this show here. This was largely a very boring show. I don't really want to waste too much of your time on it. WWE television, not exactly the most exciting thing right now to sit through. But we had an SUV show up outside the building to kick things off here at the very beginning. And the World Heavyweight Champion without his belt, Roman Reigns, emerges. Adam Pearce was there to greet him, and he said that, look, he wasn't sure Jacob Fatu even deserved to be here tonight. He wasn't sure if Jacob Fatu deserved to be here at all anymore. Jacob Fatu put his hands on Adam Pearce at Backlash. Threw him out of the ring. So Roman said, you can't fire him because he hasn't acknowledged me yet. And then he demanded to know, where is my World Heavyweight Championship? And a stagehand came in and handed the belt over to him. And he said he's the one who cleared Fatu to come into this company, and he'll be the one to take him out. So that set the stage for what would come later on tonight in the main event. This was the story thread We had multiple segments on this show in the back with the Usos and Roman. It was all building to Jacob's eventual arrival. Remember the way Backlash ended on Saturday. Jacob Fatu lost, but then he kept putting the Tongan death grip on Roman, and Jacob Fatu was the one who was left standing tall with the title at the end of Backlash. So they really took their time. They wanted you to just tune in to see, okay, is this guy going to show up? And if he does, what mood is he going to be in? Is he going to be a wild man? That was the whole point of what they did on Saturday, was to really establish him as this unstoppable, unpredictable beast. And you don't know what this guy is going to do. You know what he should do? He should come out and accept the Oba Femi Open challenge. It'd be a hell of a lot better than Los Garza. So we have the Vision, Logan Paul, Austin Theory, Braun Breaker, and Paul Heyman out to the ring. Heyman welcomed us to the show, and he said that we were coming here tonight from the inbred capital of Eastern Tennessee. Is that why it was so quiet? I guess that would explain it. And he crowed about Braun Breaker beating Seth Rollins at Backlash, and he said there will never be another reason for us to even acknowledge Seth Rollins again, so we're not even going to talk about him. So he turned to focus on the World Tag Team Champions, gave the mic to Theory. Theory complained about the Street Profits, and he said Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, they need the tag team titles because Bianca Belair can't pay the bills anymore. Cannot pay the bills. She's at home having a baby. So once the Street Profits, of course, came out to rebut this, Montez Ford said that Theory was right. Bianca can't pay the bills right now. She's busy with the baby. Somebody had to come to Raw and kick their asses all over Tennessee. Actually, I want to say Bianca is from Knoxville. So normally she would make an appearance on a show like this. I believe she is. I believe she is in Knoxville. I know it's Tennessee, but I think specifically she's from Knoxville. Maybe she was there. Maybe she was backstage. So Montez said that they came back to WWE to win the tag team titles. Logan said the only thing Ford has done in the last 6 months is organize a baby shower. And he asked if Ford's balls were in the red Solo Cup. All of a sudden, Joe Hendry appears at ringside. Just out of nowhere. He's got his guitar. They've turned him into a punchline already. Every week he appears with his guitar and he's just singing songs. So he's singing the Can We Fire Logan Paul song over and over and over, getting the fans then to do the same thing, and they start singing the song. And then all of a sudden they go to commercial. They just cut to commercial. And when they came back, we had a 6-man tag team match already in progress. Not a lot going on here until after another commercial break when Hendry made the tag to Montez Ford. He ended up wiping out Braun Breaker with a dive out of the ring. Dawkins tagged in. Theory put him in the electric chair position. Or Theory was put in the electric chair position. So Montez goes up top. Logan knocks him to the floor. And Joe Hendry, he's still there. He ends up getting sent into the steps by Logan. Theory distracts the referee so that Breaker can go for the running spear. But he's rounding the bend, and as he comes around outside the ring, there's Seth Rollins. And Rollins greets him with a clothesline, knocks him down. The referee saw this. There's no way the referee didn't see this. And I don't care if he's legal or not. Braun Breaker is a part of this match. Seth Rollins is not. Somehow this was not a disqualification. Not quite sure how, but it was not. And in the ring, Dawkins rolled Theory up for the win. So after the match was over, Theory attacked Dawkins. Rollins, though, dumped Theory out of the ring. He helped Dawkins to his feet. And here comes Braun Breaker, who's setting up for a spear. As Breaker comes in for the spear, Rollins moves out of the way, and Dawkins eats the spear. Rollins super kicks Breaker out of the ring. Montez Ford looks over. He sees his partner is down. He is not very happy with Seth Rollins about this, and he gets up in Seth's face. He's telling him, stay out of our way, stay out of our way. Honestly, if you watch that part back, it kind of looked like Rollins put Dawkins in harm's way. Now, I know that's not what the intent was, and they didn't draw any attention to it. But if you go back and you look, It kind of looked like he put him in harm's way with the spear. So Montez Ford had every reason to be upset with Seth Rollins about that. These two have been beefing for a few weeks now, really ever since the Street Profits came back. I'm looking forward to the eventual singles match. I want a singles match between Montez Ford and Seth Rollins. Hopefully we'll get that on TV one of these weeks. But they did make it official later in the show at Saturday night's main event on the 23rd. The Street Profits will challenge Logan Paul, Austin Theory for the tag team titles. They will not win the tag team titles, but they will be challenging for the titles on that show. That is one of two championship matches that have been added to that show. Yes, we are still doing Seth and the Vision, and you will take it and you will like it. Hey, look, I mean, we had to move on from LA Knight and the Vision, so now it's Seth's turn. The only thing that delayed it was Seth's injury. Now he's back. Now he gets to feud with the Vision for 6 months. We go backstage. Adam Pearce met with the OG El Grande Americano, along with Julio and Bruto Creed, who act like they don't know how to speak English. Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio interrupted. Liv said that Dom was overdue for a title opportunity. Gable didn't appreciate being interrupted. Dom said that El Grande wasn't even a real luchador. And Pearce decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to book a title match tonight. And he booked Dominic Mysterio to defend for the first time ever on Raw. To defend the AAA Mega Championship against El Grande Americano. And then as Pearce was walking away, Angel and Berto standing there, they want to talk to him. They want to talk to him about an opportunity. Oh, they would get their opportunity, all right. Later in the show, they would get their opportunity to get their asses handed to them. We had the Intercontinental Champion, Penta. He was out to the ring next for a promo. Last week, he heard somebody talking about his championship. And he tells Ethan Page, I'm a fighting champion. He invited him to come on out to the ring. Say it to my face. So out to the ring comes All Ego. And he questioned Penta painting up his chin, wearing a mask every single week to cover up his face. Ethan stands in the spotlight with no mask. Says, I'm All Ego. I'm a fighting superstar. I show my face. I let everybody know who I am. So Penta tells Ethan, look, I'm a fighting champion, and basically Penta will defend his title and fight him. He'll fight him tonight. We'll do it right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Because Page is going on and on about how I'm the man who pinned the Intercontinental Champion, and I'm from the greatest country on earth, Canada. Which got booed here in Knoxville. So anyway, he's basically saying, I pinned you, I should be the number one contender. Penta was ready to fight him now. Ethan says, hold on a second. Pump the brakes. That title is a token of excellence. Every megastar in the history of WWE has held it. He goes, he is the next megastar. And that title deserves to be defended on the biggest stage. 2 weeks from now, a week from Saturday, basically. Saturday night's main event. Now, I didn't know that Saturday night's main event on Peacock was the biggest stage, but evidently it is. Fuck everybody in Italy, I guess. And so we're going to get a championship match on Saturday night's main event with Ethan Page challenging Penta for the IC title. But we weren't done yet because Rusev comes out and he says, look, Ethan, you amuse me, but you getting a title shot before me, that doesn't sit well with me. Because it was I who bounced Penta's head off the steps, which led to the pinfall in that match. Ethan says, you know what? I agree with everything that you're saying. That's exactly what I told Adam Pearce. I just came from his office earlier. We had a whole conversation. And I had him this much. I was almost convinced. But then Javon barged in. And Javon was going off about Rusev getting a title shot. I can beat that guy and going on and on and on about this. How are you going to give Rusev a title match when he can't even beat me? So Javon Evans comes out. And I don't know if this is going to be part of his gimmick every week going forward. I hope not. He comes out and he goes, whoa, whoa. And dude, I'm not going to recreate it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make your ears bleed. He probably said whoa about 38 times. I guess this was supposed to be funny. Maybe I missed the punchline here. It was fucking annoying is what it was. Don't ever do that again, please. So he comes down to the ring, and Evans calls Ethan a liar. He didn't say anything to Ethan. He didn't say anything to Adam Pearce. All Ego is making all of that shit up. He never said that Rusev couldn't beat him, even though it's true. So Paige attacks Evans from behind. Things break down at this point. Penta ended up diving out onto Paige. Javon dove out onto Rusev. Then they got in the ring, and Javon and Penta did the Penta strut. The one thing they got to pop here in this segment. Outside of the strut, that was the only moment where the fans kind of came alive here. They were silent for all of this. I also thought this dragged on for way too long. Ethan Page is a very good promo. But it just dragged, and it dragged, and it dragged, and I'm like, come on. Can we end this? But it led to Adam Pearce during the commercial break coming out and making a match between Rusev and Javon Evans, because Rusev was on his way out. He told Rusev, you better get back to the ring because you're wrestling Javon right now. So we came back from break. We joined this match already in progress. Rusev got Evans on top for a superplex. Evans made a comeback. He landed a whisper in the wind. Rusev went outside. Evans went for a dive. Rusev cut him off, and he hit a fallaway slam onto the announce desk heading into a commercial. Later on, Evans went for the OG cutter. Rusev, though, dropped him with a Uranagi, and then he hit the Machka kick for a 2. Evans ended up getting the win, though, in the end with the OG cutter, which was always going to be the ending here. If Rusev is in a singles match, I was going to say 9 times out of 10, but realistically, 10 times out of 10, he's going to lose the match. And so this was no different. Now, this only went 7 minutes. I could have sworn this match went longer. It was one of those matches that felt longer than it really was. Wasn't very interesting. Honestly, as Javon Evans matches go, I always have fun watching Javon. As Javon Evans matches go, this was the most boring I've ever seen. I'm sorry. This was a bore. We got a video package for the AAA Mega Championship, the premier title in Lucha Libre since 2007, with only 14 men having held that title. Backstage, Asuka. She lives. She approached Iyo Sky. She gave her a big hug. She said she was looking for someone to take her position, and she found that person in Iyo. And look, I understand that Iyo beat Asuka, but it's just hilarious to me. A week ago, Iyo Sky was Asuka's biggest failure. A week later, she's hugging her, she's kissing her, she's excited, all smiles. I finally found the person to replace me. Take my position. Boy, a lot can change in a week. It's an incredible turnaround. Iyo said, we will always be family, even if we fight. And then she said, goodbye, Asuka-san. And the two of them hugged again. Asuka kissed her on the forehead, and she rolled out of the arena with her luggage. And that was the last that we saw of Asuka. And then it was later on in the show that Michael Cole said that Asuka's future in WWE is up in the air. So the update on Asuka tonight that they promised to give us was no update at all. Even they don't know. Now, I don't know what the situation with Asuka is. There's a lot of people speculating that maybe she also got hit by these TKO restructuring offers and maybe she opted to leave. That's all conjecture. I've seen nothing reported about her being swept up and all that. I can't say it didn't happen, but until I hear that from a reputable source, I'm going to assume that's not the case. Is it a case where Asuka is done and we're never going to see her in the ring again? Probably not. Meltzer the other day said he was told that she's semi-retired. Even he didn't know what that meant. I hear semi-retired. I hear that as, okay, this person is not going to be full-time anymore. Maybe she wants to go back to Japan. Apparently, people seem to think that's where she's headed. She may be headed back home to Japan. But that we haven't seen the last of her. We're just not going to see her as often. She's kind of winding down or scaling back her schedule. And that seems a little more realistic to me, but the reality is we just don't know for sure. I hope that we get to see more of her in the ring. I hope this isn't the end. If it was the end, I would certainly hope that she gets more fanfare than she was given. But for the time being, she got to go out with a really good match with Iyo Sky. It did not get the ending that a lot of us were hoping it would get, which sucks. We knew that going in. It was not going to get a proper ending to the story. But Asuka is fantastic. Asuka is great. Even in recent years, she's had some injuries. She's been phased down in many ways. She missed a lot of time, actually, due to, I think it was a knee injury. I'm not even sure she's fully over the knee injury, to be honest with you. But the run that she's had in WWE, I'll tell you what the biggest sin is. The biggest sin about her run in WWE, if it really is over, or at least her full-time run is over, for all the championships and the accolades, right, and the great matches that this woman has had, I think she's 0 for 6 at WrestleMania. Has never won a match at WrestleMania. That's crazy. I think even Sasha ended up winning at least one. Didn't Sasha and Naomi win a tag team match at WrestleMania? Because I know Sasha Banks for a while had like a reverse Undertaker streak going at WrestleMania. But I'm pretty sure before she left, she actually did win a match. Asuka has never won a match at WrestleMania. And she's had at least, 5 or 6 matches? That's just wild to me. She should have won the first one against Charlotte. That's a whole other story. The women's tag team champions, Brie Bella and Paige, were out to the ring for a promo. Neither did Lawler. Actually, no, I guess he lost to Michael Cole. Yeah, but so what? Who cares about that? He was mostly a commentator for WrestleMania anyway. So anyway, Brie Bella and Paige, they talked about Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez last week, calling them out for a fight. So here we are. That brought out Raquel and Roxanne. They were glad that they were able to take a break from their nostalgia tour. And Roxanne said that she used to watch them on TV when they were still young and relevant. So when Roxanne met Brie as a little girl, Brie told her that she was going to carry on the Bella legacy. And then she realized, how dare you set the bar so low? Brie said that she wanted her to start her own legacy, not to be a footnote for the judgment. Actually, she called it the Judgment's Day. Apparently there's multiple ones. And she said, there's only one person more disappointed in you, Roxanne, than I am, and that's your mom. So Raquel held Roxanne back, and she turned her attention to the comeback girl, Paige. The girl who's been given 1 million chances and has managed to fumble every single one of them. She's just waiting for the next scandal. So why not just hand the belts over to us? So Paige and Brie attacked them. Liv Morgan suddenly hit the ring, and she dropped Paige with a code breaker. Roxanne did the cartwheel knees into Brie's head, and then Paige got taken out with a leg sweep big boot combo, and the Judgment Day posed with the gold while Brie and Paige were laid out. Crowd was deathly silent for all of that. They did not give a shit about this segment. And honestly, just as like a promo segment, again, very bad. Very boring, very just paint by numbers, bullshit. Not good. Not good. It's like, well, we don't have anything really better to do, so we'll just come up with the most basic segment that we could possibly think of just to get them out there on TV and get that pose, get that shot at the end. Fucking terrible. Moving on, Jimmy Uso. He entered the locker room where Roman Reigns was sitting. Told Roman that Jey Uso was outside waiting for Fatu to try to talk him out of going to the ring tonight. Roman said, why would you do that? And Jimmy thought that Roman should leave Fatu alone. Roman said, we made an agreement. Fatu put his name on the contract. We were men of our word. If Fatu couldn't respect his own family, there would be no respect from those on the outside. So he said Fatu had to acknowledge him. Jimmy said he still didn't trust Fatu, Roman said if Fatu didn't acknowledge him, then Fatu's ass was out of here. And Jimmy said he was going to go find Jay. You do that. Like a good little foot soldier. You go find Jay. Iyo Sky against Sol Ruka. When I saw that they were doing this match tonight, which was not announced in advance, when I put the Raw preview together for the stream and everything, they had two things announced. The Oba Femi Open Challenge continuing and the Roman Reigns Jacob Fatu Acknowledgement Ceremony. Nothing else for this show was announced. So imagine throwing this match out there completely unannounced, like, oh yeah, by the way, we're having Iyo Sky against Sol Ruka tonight on the show. Sure. Why not? First, we flash back to last week when Becky Lynch interrupted Sol's contract signing ceremony. They did some very slick editing on this to actually make the Soul Snatcher that she went for and missed look like nothing ever happened. The magic of editing, the magic of post-production, they actually made it look good. So after some back and forth here, and after a commercial break, Iyo hit a top rope Spanish fly. A little while later, Sol put Sky down with a nasty blue thunder bomb. It's funny because she had Iyo up in the air. And then the way that she just kind of jerked her down to the mat. And it's funny because Iyo had her hands clasped behind her head just to protect herself. But she took a nasty fall on that blue thunder bomb. But then Iyo rallied with a missile drop kick. Sol avoided the bullet train knees, hit Iyo with double knees of her own. There was a cool cartwheel into a DDT off the ropes by Ruka that got the biggest reaction of anything so far of this match. Iyo came back, hit the bullet train attack, and then Iyo, though, was selling her leg. And so she took a little bit longer than usual to get up to the top rope, but she got up to the top. She went for the over the moonsault. Sol got the knees up on the way down. Sol went for a Soul Snatcher for the finish, but Iyo avoided it. At first, I was like, fuck, she fucked it up again. She went for it too soon. Iyo was not in position, but it was by design. She went for it. She didn't get it because Iyo was in perfect position to crucifix her over into a pin, and she pins Sol Ruka. So Iyo Sky gets back-to-back wins. First over Asuka on Saturday, and tonight over Sol Ruka. And when the match was over, Iyo pulled her up to her feet, and the two of them shook hands and they hugged. So a show of respect from both women. I thought it was a solid match. Again, the finish at first, I was like, but then when I saw what they did, I said, okay, it's all right. That would have been awful. 2 weeks in a row to botch that move, that would have been terrible. Now, in the back later, Iyo bumped into Sol again, and she told Sol, "You are the future." And then immediately after Iyo walked away, Sol turned around, and who was standing there? Becky Lynch. And Becky was laughing at her for losing to Iyo Janetti, and then she walked off. Now, Sol Ruka is now winless in her first two matches here on Monday Night Raw. She wrestled Liv Morgan and lost, although it was because of Zarya. And then here she wrestled Iyo Sky, a former women's world champion, WWE women's champion. Truly one of the best in the company. And she lost again. Now, if you got to lose to somebody, losing to Iyo Sky and losing to the women's world champion with some outside interference are not terrible ways to lose. My thing is, she shouldn't be losing in the first place. You know, she's brand new to the show. I wish that there were other people that she could work with to start racking up some wins and really build herself up into title contention for down the road. They've taken a different approach. It's not going to kill her. It's just a personal preference. I just wish that you wouldn't debut somebody and beat them in their first two matches. But she's going to go right into a feud now with Becky Lynch, and so this isn't going to matter. They had Iyo in the back give the big endorsement, like, you're the future. So, like, they're just taking a different approach with it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but clearly they do see her as the future. You know, and she will be a champion in this division. She'd probably be Intercontinental champion before she'll be the women's world champion. I think if she's going to work with Becky, the end result should be her winning that belt from Becky, because honestly, the IC title, it's the perfect title for her to work towards. And I think Becky is the perfect person for her to work with. They haven't hinted yet on which show that would be on. I would think they would do that in Italy. I'm going to guess when they do the first match, they'll save it for Italy and not Saturday night's main event, because the shows were about a week apart. But I would save that for Clash in Italy is what I would do. Now we go backstage. Jey Uso is pacing back and forth in the parking area. Brother Jimmy shows up. Says that his talk with Roman didn't go so well. Jey doesn't think Jacob is going to acknowledge him. And Jimmy, I gotta say this. I'm listening to all this dialogue. I'm like, this entire show is built around, will this person acknowledge the other person? Like, it's so goofy. It's so fucking goofy. It ended up being the best part of the entire show, though. It had nothing to do with any sort of acknowledgement ceremony. It's just two guys, fighting and one guy kicking the other's ass. That'll get over every time. But like, I'm watching this back and forth and the Usos are all nervous. Oh my God, is he going to acknowledge? I'm like, come on. Like, what are we doing here? We're building the whole show around this. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Who acknowledges who? Oh my God. Jey said he was going to stay in the back and wait for Jacob. Jimmy said he was going to go out to the ring later with the OTC. Fine. Jackie Redmond was backstage. She was with the Street Profits, who were all amped up to go after the tag team titles on Saturday night's main event. This is what they came back for, they said. But here comes Seth Rollins to interrupt. This guy just will not leave these two men alone. Why can't he just stay away from the Street Profits? They clearly don't like him. Montez Ford does not like this man. He told him in no uncertain terms, stay away. And everywhere they turn, Seth Rollins appears like an apparition. So Rollins shows up. He says, if you're serious about taking those titles off the Vision, it's time we talked. Montez Ford was not interested in hearing what he had to say. Angelo Dawkins was like, well, maybe we should hear him out. And Ford is like, no. Says Rollins is not to be trusted, and we don't need your ass to win the tag team championships. Bet on that. And off they went. So after this, it was time for, that's right, acknowledge me. If you're going to acknowledge anybody, let me see the ones in the chat. You acknowledge the Solomonster. Forget all this other nonsense. You acknowledge me. Seth is obsessed with helping. Yeah, because he's got nothing else to do. He has no faction anymore. So he doesn't know what to do with himself. He's trying to buddy up to other people, and they don't want to have anything to do with him. It was time for the Oba Femi Open Challenge, week number 2. And he gets into the ring and he calls out his next challenger. And there's no challenger. Instead, he gets Adam Pearce. I'm like, oh, maybe Adam Pearce has accepted the open challenge. That would at least be interesting. Adam Pearce walks out and he says, I'm sorry to inform, but nobody in the back wanted to accept your challenge. And so therefore, the open challenge for this week is hereby canceled. And that did not make the fans in Knoxville very happy. So Oba was furious about this. He stormed out of the ring to the back, through the gorilla position. And just beyond gorilla, who does he find? He finds Angel and Berto. Now, I was shocked when we had the mass wave of releases recently and they were not on the list. I was happy for them, but I was, to be perfectly blunt, stunned that they were not on the list. Santos Escobar was on there. I know his situation's a little bit different. He's in AAA and he's out hurt right now, but still, they were not on the list. And then I saw how WWE used them tonight. And I would not at all be surprised if they end up on some sort of list. Because these are not two men that are going places in WWE. The only place these two men are going, whether it's now or 6 months from now or a year from now after WrestleMania next year, is out of the company. And I'm sorry to say, because they're very talented. And I think surely you can find a way to use them in some capacity. You have 2 dead tag team divisions, and so I don't know why you wouldn't want to use them in some capacity to try to aid in those tag team divisions, but they're not going to do it. They're two dead men walking in this company. So whether it's now or then, their future is outside of WWE, and I think they know that. And that was very evident from what they did and how they used them tonight. Because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. But hey, they wanted an opportunity from Adam Pearce. Well, they got an opportunity because Oba Femi beat the fuck out of him, and then he dragged/carried them out to the ring. If nobody wants to accept the open challenge, then he's going to accept the open challenge for him. So down to the ring they go. This ended up being a 2-on-1 handicap match. We got the running corner uppercuts by Oba. He tossed Angel over Berto, who ducked. And then Berto got picked up, and he got thrown halfway across the ring. And then Berto ate a fall from grace, and he took the pin. You know, I defended this shit when they first announced it, even though I'm as sick as anybody of all the open challenges, right? The concept of an open challenge is fine. It can be exciting. When you have constant open challenges, it just doesn't have the same luster it used to. But also is, I think, oftentimes used by the writers as just a lazy crutch. In the case of Oba Femi, I genuinely don't think they know what to do with him. Other than they know they don't want to put him in there yet with Roman Reigns. So they don't know what to do with the guys. So we'll have an open challenge. It's a way to get him on the show every week. And the way I looked at it, I looked at it that way too. Like, if you don't have a really obvious place for him at the moment, and he's not going after the world championship, which he really should be doing very soon, because why wouldn't he? It doesn't make any sense. You got to do something with him in the meantime to keep the momentum going and not just take him off TV. So fine, you want to do an open challenge with Oba Femi? Maybe they'll make it interesting. Maybe we'll get a couple of banger matches out of it. Maybe we'll put him in there with some guys that are coming back, or somebody from SmackDown shows up one week and wants to accept the open challenge. And who knows? Maybe we'll still get that. This was only week 2, but I'm watching this here in week 2, and I'm like, we've already jumped the shark with this. Nobody wants to accept the open challenge. So he goes backstage, grabs the first 2 jobbers he can find, drags them out to the ring, and beats him in 90 seconds. And what exactly does this accomplish? How am I supposed to feel about this? I don't know how much more mileage they're going to be able to get out of this if this is the sort of thing they have planned. Can you see this going on for another 6 weeks with this company keeping it interesting? I don't really know what else to say about it. They're already advertising another open challenge next week. Why would I care? Nobody accepted it this week. I'm supposed to give a shit that he's doing another one next week? I don't give a fuck. I feel like an idiot for even defending this idea because I thought they had something interesting planned. Go to the back. JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio. They were walking through the backstage area. Dom was on his way out for his AAA Mega title defense. When Finn Balor blindsided JD McDonough, he threw him into an equipment case, he beat the piss out of him, he left him laying. And now he's looking at Dom. And he tells Dom, looks like you're going to have to go out there alone to defend your championship. And Dom said, well, I've got some gold to go defend, something you would know nothing about. And he turned and he just very casually walked off. And he left his Judgment Day brother laying dead on the ground, and Dom seemed rather unbothered by the whole thing. So, great. I'm sure that's going to make JD McDonough feel fantastic. So we had Dominic Mysterio defending the AAA Mega title. By the way, that's the only thing they flew Finn Balor out to Knoxville, Tennessee for. I don't know where Balor is living these days. I don't know if he's in Florida. I don't know where he is, but imagine getting on a plane and flying 4 hours, 5 hours to go to Knoxville, and you get there and you're told that your job tonight is you're going to just beat up JD McDonough for 5 seconds, and then you're going to have about a sentence of dialogue, and your night is done. Easy work, I guess. El Grande Americano Gable, though, was challenging for the AAA Mega title. El Grande Americano Gable got monkey flipped on the apron into the ring post early in this match, ahead of a commercial break. That was pretty nuts. Ryo and Bravo ran out a little bit later to distract the referee and Chad Gable. El Grande Kaiser then ran out. He hit Gable. Dom followed with a tornado DDT, but only for a near fall. Julio and Bruto show up. I can't believe I'm even talking about this shit. What? Let me remind you of something, okay? It's Monday. After some of the WWE stuff that I've seen over the past week, I feel like I've been through 6 weeks in the span of one. I sat here on Friday and I reviewed a show, a television show, that hosted a funeral for the Gingerbread Man. On the same show where Danhausen was doing a science experiment trying to create a cloning machine so that he could clone himself to be his tag team partner, his own tag team partner at the PLE the next night. Upon tuning into said PLE, Danhausen did indeed clone himself, and it ended up being a miniature version of himself. During the course of said match, Minniehausen was popped back into the machine, and when the machine opened, there were multiple Minniehausens. So he had replicated himself. Okay, this is a real thing that happened. Now I'm watching Raw tonight, and I've got the Creed brothers, who are a pretty good tag team, who are now running around wearing masks, pretending to not speak English, calling themselves Julio and Bruto. Meanwhile, we have Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, also pretty good wrestlers, still, after all these months, running around in masks, calling themselves Ryo and Bravo. Chad Gable, meanwhile, is also still running around under a mask. Ludwig Kaiser has been running around under a mask for many months and is having great success down in Mexico. And Asuka is no longer on television. Am I asking for logic? No, I'm not asking for anything. I just had this moment where I had to pause and just reflect upon the last few days. Just to kind of put things in perspective. But I'll have to eat shit from certain people on social media for not loving this show. I had one person tweet me tonight and go, Raw has been fantastic lately. Let me ask you a question. Is there any single show at the moment, week to week, in WWE that you can honestly sit there and tell me the word that you would use to describe it is fantastic? I think you are fantastically ill in the brain if that is a word that you would like to use. Now, don't get me wrong, Raw is better than SmackDown. You get no argument out of me there. But fantastic is not a word I would use to describe anything going on in WWE right now. But if you don't say that, you're a hater. Got it. Gable put Dom in an ankle lock. Kaiser jumped up on the apron. Gable went after him. He tried to rip his mask off. Stop me if you've heard that before. That distraction allowed Dominic to hit a 619 and then a frog splash for the win to retain the championship in this historic first time ever title defense of the AAA Mega Championship on Raw, which ended the same way that every fucking Dominic Mysterio match ends. Historic. You know, Gable and Kaiser, they have their mask match on May 30th in AAA. It cannot come soon enough. Please end this already. I say it every week. Please end this already. This Americano shit has got to end. Jackie Redmond, backstage, interviewed Logan Paul and Austin Theory, as if they didn't get enough time earlier in the show. Logan was still very upset about the Joe Hendry song. He also referred to Jackie as wacky. Paul said that if he had to hear the song again, he would Vincent Van Gogh himself. He would cut his ears off. Theory told Logan to relax. We'll go get some dinner. And then, you'll notice, in the SUV that was parked there, sitting in the back seat on the passenger side of the SUV, typing away on her phone, was Maxine Dupree. Not the first time that we have seen Maxine Dupree either with the members of the Vision or in the background of a segment interacting with Austin Theory and the members of the Vision. Seems to me like they may have completely given up on her in the ring, and maybe they're going to use her as a valet. Maybe that's the way to go. So now it was time for the closing segment. It was Americana was over in Mexico, Solo. Yes, are you deaf? Did you not hear what I said? I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that every week. I said Americano Kaiser is one of the biggest baby faces in all of Mexico. But we're not in Mexico. Last I checked, Raw was in Knoxville, Tennessee. The Americano stuff sucks on this show. Keep it in AAA. It works in AAA. The people in AAA care about it. That pull-apart brawl several weeks ago was one of the best pull-apart brawls I've ever seen. Keep it in AAA. It does not work here. Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso were out to the ring for the closing segment. This was the so-called Acknowledgement Ceremony. And he gets in the ring and Roman tells Knoxville to acknowledge me. Cut to the back, and Jacob Fatu has arrived. And Jey Uso is trying to get through to him, and Fatu just has tunnel vision. He's ignoring him, like he's not even there. And he's storming through the back, and Jey is following along with him, and he's trying to get his attention and trying to tell him, man, you got to be smart. Don't do this. Don't do this. So by the time they get to the gorilla position, Jey gets in front of Fatu, and he's trying to tell him, be smart, Us, be smart. And so Fatu gives him a headbutt and beats him up and leaves him laying. And then Fatu turns into the camera and he tells Roman, he goes, you're going to have to beat that acknowledgement out of me. And out to the ring he comes. So Jimmy meets him in the aisle, and Jimmy eats a thrust, a palm thrust. Fatu throws him into the barricade. So that clears the way now for Jacob Fatu to make his way down to the ring. Yes, an acknowledgement ceremony, LOL, says Pedro. Look, I don't write this shit, okay? I just review it. I don't book it. I don't write it. I don't conceive it. I talk about it. Don't look at me. Don't blame me. He gets into the ring, and the fight is on. He takes down the champion. Then he clotheslines him out to the floor. And Fatu goes for a dive through the ropes. He runs right into a Superman punch. Roman grabs a chair from underneath the ring. He brings it inside. Chair shot to the back. Another chair shot to the back. A third chair shot to the back. And Roman is yelling at him to acknowledge me, or your ass is out of here. Acknowledge me. Probably wakes up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night. Acknowledge me. Acknowledge me. He probably tells his kids when his kids misbehave, acknowledge me. So he's continuing to pummel him with this chair. Roman sets up for a spear. He gets intercepted, though, with a super kick. And now Jacob applies the Tongan death grip. The Tongan death grip is applied. And he shoves Roman backwards out over the top rope. Roman lands on his feet. Jacob, though, flies out of the ring with a suicide dive. So Jacob is yelling at him, acknowledge this. He throws him face first into the ring post. And he's yelling at Roman, saying, you left me and my family broke. So now we're seeing some of that past rage boil over here with Jacob Fatu. So he gently, and this was the funniest part to me. He takes Roman and he very gently throws him into the ring steps. Like it was the most gentle throw into the steps that you will ever see. It's like they were moving in slow motion here. And the crowd breaks into a "We want tables" chant. So Fatu clears off the announce desk, but in comes Roman with a Superman punch. And he tried for another one. Fatu catches him, though, in the Tongan death grip again. And then he powerbombs Roman through the announce desk. Same spot they did at Backlash. This time, again, the table broke. Roman goes through. So officials pour out. Fatu, though, gets the Tongan death grip applied. Boy, he loves using this move. He's going to run this thing into the fucking ground. He must have used that. How many times did he use that move on Saturday? 6 times? 7 times? After a while, I lost count. He acknowledged the steps, Solomonster. Yeah, he acknowledged, he barely acknowledged the steps. But he puts the Tongan death grip back on this man. And Adam Pearce is out there and he's yelling at him, let go, let go, let go. Enough, enough, enough. So Fatu lets go, but then he reapplies it again. And like, I'm watching all of this play out, and the officials are trying to pry this man off of Roman Reigns, and several minutes have gone by now since Fatu hit the ring, and I'm like, you know, he didn't really do that much damage to the Usos. Where the fuck are the Usos? What did he do that was so terrible to the Usos that they wouldn't be back by now to help save Roman? So Fatu gets back in the ring. And he picks up the World Heavyweight title and he licks it, very unsanitary. And he holds the title up high. And then he throws it down and he exits the ring. And they put the copyright box up. They wanted you to think the show was going off the air. And he's looking into the camera as he's leaving. And he's, you know, shouting into the camera, I'm all gas, no brakes with it. But then he turns and he sprints back down to ringside. And he hits a running hip attack to Roman and the Usos, who have magically reappeared. They're all standing in that same area by the Timekeeper's barricade. And he does the running hip attack and puts all 3 of them through the barricade. Now, there's a spot that I've never seen before. Somebody going through the Timekeeper's barricade. I'm glad they did that again here on this show. It's been so long since I've seen that. But he left all 3 men laying on the ground. And that is how Raw went off the air. The whole concept of the acknowledgement ceremony is just, it's so fucking goofy. It's just some of that corny bullshit that they love to come up with. And it's stupid. But you know what worked here? What worked here is that Jacob Fatu at Backlash, when that show was over, the way they left it, he was portrayed as a madman. You could not control this man. He was a wild man, and I loved it. And so they continued that here tonight, where when he got to the building, he didn't give a shit what Jey Uso had to say. He had one mission, which was to go back out to that ring and beat the hell out of Roman Reigns. And when this show was over, it ended the way the Backlash did. It ended with Roman laying on his back and Jacob Fatu standing tall. So they've done a very good job of keeping Jacob Fatu as strong as can possibly be. And you have to, because they're clearly building the Clash in Italy. They're going to run this back again. And so you want Jacob to be this unstoppable monster going into the show. I wish that they weren't leaning so heavily into the Tongan death grip, where he's applying it 8 times every time we see him. I joked about this when I was talking about Backlash on the podcast yesterday, and I said, you know, as hard as they've been trying to get that holdover as this lethal maneuver, they did a whole thing a few weeks ago where Michael Cole was like, oh, the Tongan death grip, you know, you basically clamp down on the Adam's apple, you cut off the oxygen supply, it's a deadly hold, you're not supposed to use it all the time. I'm like, for such a deadly hold, he used it like half a dozen times on Saturday, and he still fucking lost. It can't be that deadly. If it was that deadly, you would use it once, and it would be nighty-night, right? Curtains, nights out, lights out. And so it can't be that bad if he kicked out of it and he won the match. So maybe dial it back a little bit. Maybe don't be using it so often. But they've kept Jacob Fatu strong, so that's a good thing. It was the best part of the entire show. I can't really say a whole lot of great things about the rest of this show. I really can't. I just thought the show was largely very boring. There wasn't a whole lot of life to it. This is the way the product has felt now for some time. There's no life to it. And some of these segments, we're just going through the motions. We're just doing the same shit that we always do. Even the end of the show, even though it ended up being a good segment. Okay, somebody got powerbombed through the announce desk. Somebody got put through the Timekeeper's barricade. Okay, we see this shit all the time. You know, it's like they're like one-trick ponies here. It's like, well, okay, we'll do this. It worked for us last time, so we'll just do it again, but we'll do it with a couple of different people. Like that segment when they had Paige and Brie Bella out there, and then Raquel and Roxanne came out, and then Liv did the attack, and it was like, what is this? What are we doing here? There's nothing interesting about it. They're not saying anything interesting. They're not doing anything interesting. You're not giving me a reason to give a shit about what any of these people are doing. You're not giving me a reason to care. That's what I say when I say they're just going through the motions. That's what it feels like. But fuck me for not thinking that this was a fantastic television show. Boy, the standards have really dropped, I have to say. The standards have really, really dropped over the years. If there are people out there who legitimately believe, I'm not saying that you're an idiot if you thought Raw was good, but can we please not throw words around like fantastic? I can't take you seriously that way. There was nothing fantastic about this show. There has not been anything fantastic about most of these shows for quite some time now. Don't give them the impression that the shows are fantastic when they're not. They need to know that there is room for improvement here. The shows will not get better if they're convinced that they're that good. You're enabling them. Don't do that. Don't enable these people. Man. Let's get to these super chats. It sounds boring even listening to. Yeah, well, I try to doll it up as best I can. But sometimes it's like putting lipstick on a pig. At the end of the day, it's still a pig. No matter how much lipstick you put on. I could put a lipstick on there, you could put a nice little red bow. It doesn't matter. It's still a fucking pig. I can only do what I can do. All right, if you got any messages, get them on in. I will do my best to get through these here in a timely fashion. Are we 6 out of 10 on the bonus goal? What was the main goal? Yeah, we're not there yet. It's like Be the Booker may have to wait for Wednesday. That's a dangerous proposition considering the way Wednesdays have been going. We may be waiting until Friday to get Be the Booker. Death Scythe. Still think there needs to be a Hana Kimura Dark Side of the Ring. I agree. They may not want to go to it yet, though. They may want to put some more distance between the actual end of her life and an eventual episode. Electric Feel. I didn't see Marty Jannetty becoming Becky's personal punching bag in the Big 2-6. Now, part of me thinks that one of these weeks she's going to trot Marty Jannetty out there. They're going to do some kind of angle, get Marty a payday, and get him on the show. But the way Marty is moving around these days, I don't know about that. That ankle is pretty gnarly. If you've ever seen pictures of his ankle, yeesh. Big Money. Oh, it's Boss Mo Jackson. Says Raw is so dead. Thumbs down show tonight. WWE needs to get Chad Gable away from this gimmick. I agree. And I believe they will in a few weeks. There's only one way that match can go. That is with a Gable loss. He says, this Americano feud needs to go. I can't take no more of this. It's old and tired. I swear both WWE and AEW annoy me tremendously. It says, Trips needs to go away. And replace him with who? Replace him with who? Bruce? Michael Hayes? Mark Shapiro of TKO becomes the acting chief content officer? Oh, that'll be great. Randy Boban. Is that Randy Boban? I believe that's Randy Bobandy. Yes, it is. Randy Bobandy. This is just completely random, but I missed the Legend Killer version of the Orton douche pose. That is pretty random. Aaron says these shows all end the same way. Yes. It is very much like Groundhog Day sometimes, watching these shows. Alexander says, a man can dream, but I would abandon the Kiana-Julia feud and put her on Raw. I feel like she would be better off, but creative has failed us before. Talking about putting Julia on Raw, not Kiana. Yeah, I think that'd be great. I don't disagree with that at all. Actually, Raw could use the help now more than SmackDown. It's funny how that works, right? Even a few weeks ago, it would have been the other way around. It's funny how fast things can change. Arabian Nights 2000 says Fightful is inquiring about LA Knight's status. And the likelihood he declined a pay cut could be departing. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that. I don't know how legit that is. So I'll wait and see if anything gets reported. I know what happened is he was going to work with Gunther, and they decided to pivot and go with Gunther against Cody Rhodes. So now all of a sudden, LA Knight is left without a program. They have no ideas for him, which is not a good place to be in when they have nothing for you. But that's why we don't have him on TV. They were at least going to get a TV match out of it, and then they just went in a totally different direction, and he got left out in the cold. Phil with a $9.99. Hey, Solo, it's been a while. Just wanted to say that Bubble Pop Scream eats corn the long way. Yes, they do. Bubble has bubbles for brains. As I told Bubbles directly. MGM Ballin says wrestling is boring. Appreciate you, Solo. Let's go Knicks. Yeah, the Knicks are on fire. The Knicks have been killing it. Knicks are a lot more exciting to watch than WWE right now. Aaron, what's going on, Aaron? Good to hear from you. $20 super chat. Says this show is desperately missing Punk LA Knight right now. I like how Jacob has been looking, but I cannot possibly care about the Usos and Roman lore in 2026. It is so redundant for the Usos as characters. It's not even just redundant, dude. It's just fucking lazy. I said I feel like we've regressed 4 years, 3 years. Also, why the hell are they giving Brie mic time over Paige? She's so insufferable. The Your Mom comeback made me legit groan. Instantly thought of what reaction you would have when I watched that segment. And my reaction was one of indifference. I cared so much about what she had to say, I just recited it to you and I moved on with the review. Yeah, Brie Bella should not be getting that much mic time on this show. Actually, Paige is a better promo than Brie Bella was. You got a good point there. They should have put the mic in Paige's hand. And not in Brie's hand. You put the mic in Brie's hand, you end up with the Judgment's Day. Medium ugly lad. Well, you could have a little more self-confidence than that. New drinking game. Drink whenever you hear Tongan Death Grip. Oh, dude, are you kidding me? You won't make it. You won't make it to the end of the show. Hey, nice guy. Thank you. Thank you for being a nice guy. Alex says, Brother Solo, with what Paul told Cody on SmackDown, can you see Cody when he turns heel joining Paul as a Paul Heyman guy? No. Because I think a Cody heel turn is still so far away that I don't even think it's a real thought in their head right now. I also just don't see the point. You know, I feel like Cody is one of those people, he doesn't need... Does he really need Heyman? I mean, I guess Punk didn't either, but... I don't know, I don't see it. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I just...
has got it going on. She's all I want, and I've waited for so long.
There she is.
Nick Wayne, can't you see? Go away and leave
Oh, we haven't seen her in a while.
I hope live with Nick Wayne's mom.
Nick Wayne's mom has got it going on. Nick Wayne's mom has gotta love this song. Always a good night when we see Mother Wayne popping up on the screen. Look at that. We shot up to 9 out of 10 in the bonus goal. How'd that happen? OMG, wow, who is that? Polaris. Are you telling me you have no idea who Mother Wayne is? Chat, you have to educate our friend Polaris. He needs your help. Dry Chicken says, you know what's really sad? If we boo these women in WWE, the fans get blamed and shamed for hurting their feelings. Dead silence is the only reaction. That's it. If you're watching the show and there's something on the show that just isn't exciting you, that's why people get on the crowds all the time. And like I'm watching the Iyo Sky and Ruka match tonight, and I wish the crowd was louder for that. They kind of got them into it more as the match went on. But look, dude, just watch the shows. I can't blame the crowds. You pay all this money. You pay all of this money to go to a WWE show to sit there and listen to a Brie Bella promo. How am I going to sit here and blame the fans for not making noise? Z-Ray with the 15. I'm so tired of the Grande Americano on WWE main shows. They should just stay on AAA because they are actually really good on there. It's a great gimmick for Kaiser. I mean, it changed his whole career. You know, but Gable doesn't need it anymore. Gable's been doing it long enough. Get him out from under that mask and let him move on to something else, please. Dry Chicken says Dave Chappelle is more smarter than Triple H. I think he may be more smarter than Dry Chicken without flavor. Come on, guy. The word more is redundant there in that sentence. So saith Professor Solomonster. Also, Nick Khan needs to give Triple H a 6-month paid vacation and let Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, and Bruce take turns being in charge. You lost me at Bruce. Boss Toys with a 15. Roman probably tells what he leaves behind in the toilet to acknowledge him. The wind outside, the spider on his ceiling. Acknowledge me. Yes, that's what he'll be telling all of the nurses in the old age home when he's 80 years old. Acknowledge me. And they'll be like, okay, Joe. And they'll wheel him over to the window so he could people watch. As he looks at all the people outside, muttering to himself, acknowledge me, acknowledge me. Let's refresh this list here. Oh, we hit the bonus goal. How about that? How about that? Very good. I think we may hit the regular goal too. A few more likes. I think we may have hit the likes goal. Diarrhea or oh boy. Diarlo. Tells you what's on my mind. Diarlo. There, I said it right. See? $10 super chat. Hello, Solo. It's been a long time since I've attended a review. I've attended a live review. College has been a bitch. I'm really starting to crash out. WWE product and my autism brain can't take it. Well, apparently I'm also dyslexic. I'm sorry for calling you. sorry for calling you diarrhea. I looked at the name and the first place my mind went to. But I'm glad you could join for a live review. And look, college can be a bitch, but you'll get through it. I believe in you. Yes, Raw. I got you confused with Raw. Raw was diarrhea tonight. Not Diarlo. Alex says, can you see Mayu Iwatani succeed in today's WWE? No. Look at Julia. I'm going to sit here and tell you that I have faith that Mayu Iwatani would do well in WWE. Mayu Iwatani, as far as her talent, she could do well anywhere in the world. In WWE, do I have faith that she would be utilized in the way Mayu Iwatani should be utilized? Absolutely not. No, I don't. Jared Edwards from Tampa Bay went to Backlash. Raw tonight was mid. Yes, it was. Justin G, sorry, half dead tonight. We love you, Solo. It's all good, brother. Were you there? Were you in Knoxville? Boots with the $10 super chat. I acknowledge you, Solo. I acknowledge you, Boots. Always acknowledge Boots. The king has spoken. Is Julia Japanese? I believe she's half Japanese, half Italian. I do believe. EJ Slemp, I told you this 4 years ago, and I'm still waiting for a Crush Dark Side episode. Would Quackenbush, Wentz, Aries, and Low Key make good episodes too? Wentz? Zach Wentz? No. The other ones could. I feel like Crush will probably get that treatment at some point. Yeah, they do people like Earthquake and Doink. I would imagine Bryan Adams would probably get an episode at some point down the road. Yukio Rules with the $28 Mother Wayne super chat. Nick Wayne's mom. All we need is Grande Americano Solo. So one of these weeks, you're going to tune in and expect to see me in my lucha mask. I do have a lucha mask. Do I want to wear it on the stream for 2 hours? No. No, I do not. Jeremy Rose, nothing to do with Punk or LA Knight. Here's a thought, Triple H, Punk Knight feud. I still feel like Punk's going to SmackDown. If he's on Raw the next time we see him, I don't feel like he's going to be on Raw for too much longer. And Boots, I'm answering the double Be the Booker and hit that like button. Open challenge. Look at that. The open challenge has been accepted. Thanks to Brother Boots. Justin G, though, with 37 months of channel membership. 37 months already. Says, damn. Now I got to hit 48. Thanks, Solomonster. Thank you, chat. You make these shows sufferable. Well, thank you for your patronage. Yeah, so on nights like this, we could all commiserate together. That's why we have a little community here. Eric Newton, channel member here. I stick through the shows because I love pro wrestling, but AEW and WWE are making me question my love for it with their bad booking of late. Yeah, I mean, this is not the most exciting period of wrestling, to say the least. Yeah, people the other night on Wednesday, actually during Dynamite, which was not a terrible show by any means, but like I got the review done. What was it? I think it was 60 minutes. It was like an hour. They're like, oh my God, it's got to be the fastest review ever. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to say. When I have stuff to talk about, I'll talk about it. You know, when there's not a lot to talk about, I don't know what you want from me. It's kind of the way it goes sometimes. Uffman. Oh, that's from the other day. Wherever he may be, never mind, Uffman, never mind. Alexander calling for Giant Gonzalez tonight. Oh yeah, well, let's see here. The wheel was 5:15, and we are currently at 5:42. So we went from potentially doing no Be the Booker to doing 2 rounds of Be the Booker tonight. We may well land on the Giant Gonzalez again. I hope not. Can you imagine if we land on Giant Gonzalez and Great Khali in the same match? Can you imagine Giant Gonzalez and Great Khali in a Punjabi prison match? It could very well happen tonight. Tonight. Dried Chicken says Raw tonight is like having salad without dressing. Arabian Night, Garza's seem to be gone. Did you see Angel's tweet? I have not seen any tweets. I saw a lot of dumb shit tweets all on my own before I went live tonight. I have not looked at Twitter since. I don't think I need to see a tweet, though. I could just watch the television show tonight. And as I said before, that tells me everything I need to know about the state of Los Garza in WWE. I would not at all be shocked if they were gone very soon. And Retro KOH, why not have the Cena Classic be an annual NXT call-up tournament? The actual winner gets called up, and fans vote on whoever else does also. Sure, I mean, there's any number of ways you could do something like that. I like the idea of main roster talent, though, interacting with NXT talent. I think that is a great idea. I'm just not sold on the execution of this. Based on the way he described it, I don't think he is either. Especially when the guy pitching the idea literally stands in the ring and goes, man, I hope this works. We have to flesh the details out. We have to tweak things a little bit. We still don't even have a date. We don't even know when this is happening. I mentioned the other day there's a Saturday night's main event in July at Madison Square Garden. Maybe that's the night to do it. Unless they just want to add another PLE to the calendar. Hey, Mystic J. Thank you for the 5. I'm convinced now that it's probably better if no Joshis signed to any company here in the States. WWE and AEW have not done a great job with them lately. Well, I mean, at least Shida is in some sort of story now in AEW. So, I mean, at least there's that. But yeah, at the moment, I can't say that any of them are involved in anything terribly great. Even that story with her and Statlander, I wouldn't exactly call that a great story. But at least it is a story, and the story of tonight is that we are getting 2 rounds of Be the Booker, and we're getting it right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to Be the Booker.
So let's get into it. Riho is a ghost. Yeah, Riho shows up, and then Riho disappears, and then Riho shows up, and then Riho disappears. I don't know where Riho is right now. Maybe she's babysitting Kenny Omega's cat. I don't know. Hey, Larry, thank you for the $2. I predicted Gonzalez then. Tonight, I predict Doink. Well, it's a good thing you didn't predict Dink, because he's not in here. We have the reigning HOG Tag Team Champions, Matt and Jeff Hardy, who will be making an appearance and defending those titles on May 22nd at House of Glory back in New York, a week from Friday. That's where I'll be. I ain't watching SmackDown that night. I'll be at the NYC Arena. And it will be the Hardys defending those titles against the Butcher and the Blade. How do we feel about this? The Butcher and the... What are the Butcher and the Blade even up to these days? The Butcher and the Blade. Women's Be the Booker. Willow Nightingale, the reigning TBS champion, And Willow Nightingale will be defending against, oh my goodness, what a match. What a match. What a match that would have been, huh? Bianca Belair against Willow Nightingale. Sign me up for that. And imagine all the women in AEW that Bianca could work with. A whole new roster of talent for her to work with. To be honest with you, when she comes back to WWE, she will have been gone for so long that she'll have a whole new roster of talent to work with. She'll be working with JC Jane and Sol Ruka, Kiana James, Stephanie. I just hope she could come back, period. If that finger never heals properly, she may never be cleared. And our main event, Liv Morgan gives you her room key. Now pick a stip, which we're going to be doing in round number 2, but I guess we have to pick one now. We're getting started early here on the stips, everybody. Just stay away from that Punjabi prison. Just stay away from that Punjabi prison. Okay, dog collar. We're getting the dog collar match. Dog collar matches are generally very violent. This match here that you see a photo of, Roddy Piper legitimately got his eardrum busted by Greg Valentine. And then, of course, if you think back to CM Punk and MJF, that was a very bloody, very violent dog collar match. Who will do the stipulation proud this time? The Nature Boy, Ric Flair, with the greatest championship belt ever made. The good old Winged Eagle. This is an iconic image right here. It's the blue. The blue really brings it out. Ric Flair in a dog collar match against CM Punk, who I just mentioned was in an excellent classic dog collar match. He's going back to the pound. He's going back to the dog collar match. And actually, you know, CM Punk against old school Ric Flair in a dog collar match would be a hell of a match, I have to say. Like, I'm talking 1989, 1987 Ric Flair against CM Punk. That was a clean sweep? Yes, it was. I almost forgot. Thank you. I almost forgot the sweep sound. Can't miss the sweep sound. What a great match this would have been. The promos alone, yes. Yes, indeed. 86 Flair against 2011 Punk in a dog collar match. I'm sure Dave would give it 4 3/4 stars. Unless, of course, it is held in a certain location. Then he might go the full Monty on it. Give it the full 5. Okay, bonus round. You guys unlocked it. So let's do it. We got stipulations for each of these 3 matches. And we're not wasting any time here. You know, usually you build to it. You peak with the main event. We are opening with an exploding barbed wire death match. A tag team exploding barbed wire death match, which is very difficult to envision because it has to be tornado style. Nobody can stand on the apron. It's far too dangerous. So they all need to be in the same ring or in the ring at the same time. Public Enemy. Oh, I think they'll love this. I don't think they'll mind. Public Enemy in exploding barbed wire death match. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Against Breezango. There will be no double sweep tonight. There were a lot of viable teams that would have worked well with, I feel like would have worked well with Public Enemy, and this is not one of them. I don't like this match. This doesn't work. This doesn't work for me, brother. What are you acting? People acting surprised in the chat? It's fucking Breezango. I'm not belling Breezango and Public Enemy in a fucking barbed wire death match. The fuck out of here. You out of your mind? Last man standing. So we will put a little WO in there. And we'll make it last woman standing because we're going with the ladies here. As David Schultz would say, it's a last woman. It's a woman. Last woman. Julia. Stardom Julia. What belt is that? It's the red belt. I thought it had a name. I guess we'll just call it the Stardom red belt. This is peak Julia right here. Last woman standing match with Julia. And Mariah May. Wow, look at that. Yeah, hired gun podcast, like it's just a very unintelligent comment. Because I don't like what you like, therefore people are haters because they don't like what you like. You accept mediocrity. I don't accept mediocrity. That's the difference between you and me. If you want to accept mediocrity, be my guest. That's fine. I have no problem with that. You do you, brother. But don't tell me what to like and what not to like. That's one podcast I will not be listening to, is the Hired Gun podcast, where everything is rainbows and unicorns. Fuck off with that. That sounds fucking boring. And now our main event. Shill's got a shill. It's what they do. Our main event is going to be a strap match. Get the strap. We got a main event to book. Here we go. Let's see what we got. We got the world's strongest man. That is what we got. We got Mark Henry in a strap match. One yank of the strap, though, and you're going to go flying across the ring. It's almost unfair. Wow. Talk about a hoss fight. Mark Henry and Big Bronson Reed in a strap match. I like that. I'd watch that match. I don't even think you need the strap for that. Just put those two guys in the ring together and let them just beat the hell out of each other. That sounds good to me. It's right, Meat madness, as they say, is what that match is. Some good shit there, man. I think we booked some good ones there tonight, if I do say so myself. We didn't get the sweep there in round 2, but I think we did pretty well. All right, we got a bunch of messages here to get to. You guys want to keep the party going. That's fine with me. Hey, Fire Panda, thank you for 43 months of membership. I think Bully Ray won for Sad Tweet of the Week. Yeah, I saw some stuff. He was saying something about CZW, and I guess fans who misbehaved during a 10-bell salute to Eddie Guerrero years ago. Is that what I was trying to like halfway pay attention to what was going on, but I got to be honest, I really was not interested. I was busy preparing for Uncrowned tomorrow. Brand new episode, by the way. There you go. The Uncrowned Wrestling Podcast dropping tomorrow. Chicago for MBK. Thank you for the $2. Clay V Man 07. Who's in tonight's Eye for an Eye, I wonder? Yeah, no Eye for an Eye matches tonight.
It's the amazing Gunther.
Oh, we got Gunther tonight, though.
Jerry Lawler loves
Far more
Gunther,
important.
the magnificent. All hail Gunther.
I would much rather see Gunther make an appearance on this stream than another Eye for an Eye match. I'll tell you that. Hey, Polaris, great meeting you too, brother. I met a lot of really cool people in LA.
I am the learning tree.
I didn't meet the learning tree, though.
Thanks, guys.
But I got to meet Polaris, and I got to meet Lucas, and I got to meet, I met so many people. James. I told you, eventually I would get out to LA. And I missed it in January, but I was not going to miss it this time. So I was happy to see everybody there. We'll be out there again in a few months. Abyssal Zones. Been watching full Raw episodes since the Netflix premiere, but tonight was so boring. I finally hit the point where I couldn't keep it up anymore. Yeah, it's just very dead. It's just very, very dead. MGM Ballin going to make another case for Tony Soprano and be the booker. He did a wicked curb stomp in season 6. Was that to Coco, I believe? Probably the most satisfying scene in the season, if not the entire show. The sound of the teeth hitting the floor, though, I wince, even thinking about it. Not to say he didn't have it coming, though. Fire Panda Solo, do you have a favorite awful match? Thank you, by the way, Fire Panda, for the $50 Gunther. Fire Panda always knows how to deliver in the clutch. Whew, do I have a favorite, like kind of like a guilty pleasure awful match? I don't know. There have been so many awful matches over the years. But usually they're just so awful, I have no interest in going back to see them. For example, the Kennel from Hell at Unforgiven in 99. So that's one of those disasters that I wouldn't say is a fun bad match that I often go back and watch. I don't go back and watch bad matches. I can't say that I have a favorite. I'm trying to think, though. Favorite bad match? HBK versus Hulk? But that was not a bad match, though. He oversold for Hogan, but it was actually, especially by Hogan standards in 05, it was actually a pretty good match. The hog pen match. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I just watched the hog pen match. It was one of the things on the Vault. Actually, the Vault uploaded the hog pen match sometime in the last few months. Yeah, I mean that could be a match. Maybe I throw on the list. No. The blindfold match is a great match. I will fight anybody who says that Jake Roberts and Rick Martel blindfold match at WrestleMania was a bad match. You don't know pro wrestling. If you thought that was a bad match, you don't know what pro wrestling is. I will shame you. I will throw you in the shame corner. That's a great match. It's a great match, and it's a great lesson in how to get the fans involved. I mean, Jake was a master at it. It was a very entertaining match. Served its purpose. I thought it was great for what it was supposed to be. Warm Corn. Tongaloa superfan, I'm calling you out. This is for the Tongaloa. This is for the Tongaloa hater. You beat him in the barbed wire Taco Bell match. You and me, Wendy's Inferno match. A Wendy's Inferno match, huh? Hey, Senpai, have a good night. And Yukio rules. At least no one got hit in the face with any white stuff tonight. Well, if they would have, that would have been more exciting than almost anything else we saw on Monday Night Raw. But alas, yes, there was no white stuff being shot up into someone's face tonight. There's always next week. EJ Slam with a $4.99. I've been watching a lot of old school wrestling lately, and honestly, I feel more connected to Race, Bockwinkel, and Funk than Bruno or Backlund. Yeah, I don't know if I would say I feel more connected to them, but if you were to give me the option of watching Bruno and Backlund matches or watching Race or Bockwinkel matches, I would watch Race and Bockwinkel. Bockwinkel and Heenan were a tremendous pairing in the AWA, which I never really fully appreciated because I didn't watch the AWA back then. I didn't have access to it. I didn't watch it. So my knowledge of Heenan really started with the Heenan family in WWF. You know, not knowing at the time that the Heenan family was a thing even before the WWF. But you go back and watch old Bockwinkel title defenses and, you know, him and Heenan together, and they were a great pairing. Bockwinkel was a great champion. A great wrestler. Don Stoney, thank you for the 5. Shout out, as always, to DTKC, Spitball Media, Wrestling Soup, and as always, Kev Castle. Shout out to Kev. And Justin G, theme with what? Oh, theme that had no right to go so hard. The Stud Stable. I'll tell you what, man. I don't know if it ever made TV or not, because I do remember it being, it might have been an off-air thing that I saw, but in NXT, when they were still at Full Sail, and Eric Bugenhagen was still there, right? Or some people would know him later on, Rick Boogs. He had an instrumental theme that he would come out to. That theme had no right going as hard as it did. And I really wish he would have brought that up to TV. But yeah, you can find examples of wrestlers who had a theme song that just... I mean, Demolition, of course. Like the Rick Derringer theme. That went hard. It's a great song. To this day, it's a great song. It's timeless. Four Horsemen. Four Horsemen had a few different themes. My favorite Four Horsemen theme was not the one with the galloping horses. That was good. Not saying it wasn't. But my favorite one was the one they used. It was sometime in the mid-90s. And it sounded... The best way I could describe it is it sounded like something out of like a porn movie. It was a great song, though. It was a great song. Clay V Man says Wendy's Inferno match, bathroom brawl, bathroom brawl. Now you're thinking of Taco Bell Inferno match. I'm sure there have been many infernos in the Taco Bell bathroom over the years. Warm Corn. Also, pinfalls will count to 10,000 in our match. That sounds terrible. And Lost Dill with a $9.99. Does TKO/WWE refuse to play Joe Hendry's music or what? And if yes, why would that be? His music would immediately introduce his character to new people. I don't disagree. I don't know if it's some sort of rights thing where they just don't really want to play it on their show. I don't have a good answer for you. Tonight, he just magically showed up at ringside and was playing guitar. That's how they introduced him tonight. He didn't get an entrance. Don't have a good answer for you. Do I remember Rob Conway? I do. He had a very memorable theme song himself. Sounded very Randy Newman-esque. Definitely sounded like a Randy Newman song. Didn't Elias even get a CD? Yes, I believe Elias came out with his own album when he was in WWE. I believe the name of it was Universal Truth. And as I said at the time, Universal being one of the many titles that he will never win. And I was right. See, Solomonster is always right. The Winston Slip, your favorite last man standing match. Triple H and Chris Jericho, Fully Loaded 2000, is definitely one of my favorites. Like when I think of last man standing matches, that's usually the first one I'll come to. It's usually the first one I'll think of. For some reason, I thought Rock and Triple H had one, but no, they had a strap match, they had a ladder match, and they had an Iron Man match. And a cage match. I don't think they ever had a last man standing match, though. Yes, Mil Muertes in Lucha Underground. He had a great theme. So yeah, Super Pony, I think you're right. I think he thought Raw was a fantastic show tonight. Yeah, good for him. Was it Midian and Viscera that came out to a generic version of Demolition? No, I don't think so. The Winston Slip, still mad that Jericho never beat Triple H officially. Well, there's a reason for that. Warm Corn, I almost forgot. Naked Midian is our referee, except no, I will not. I will never accept that. Yeah, Triple H and Y2J again. That one at Fully Loaded. I actually have a lot of fond memories of that Fully Loaded show. I remember what they were trying to do at that time because that pay-per-view, they were really trying to push. I mean, they weren't like new, like they had just gotten to the company or anything, but Jericho was less than a year in. Benoit was less than a year in. Kurt Angle was less than a year in. And they were all featured in big matches on that show. So they headlined with Rock and Benoit, who had a very good match. They had Undertaker against Angle. And I don't remember too much about that match. And then they had Rock and Triple H and Jericho, which was excellent. That was an excellent match. Yeah, Rock and Benoit was great. If I remember, I think Rock and Benoit, I think they did a false finish in that match where Benoit won, but then the match got restarted. If I'm remembering correct. Any update on the Lucha Underground news? Nothing. I'm starting to think it probably is something like the old episodes being hosted in some new place. Because if it was some sort of actual, revival, people would know about it. You know, people would have to be hired. There would be some sort of project, and nobody knows what the hell it is. So it's probably tied into the old episodes, would be my guess. Ah, yes. Benoit cheated to win, and then Foley, that's right, Commissioner Foley restarted the match, and The Rock won. That's right. Don't forget the Broods theme. I don't think any of us who were watching back then will ever forget the Broods theme. The Broods theme and the whole presentation was great. Lucha Above Ground coming in 2027. I think we have enough Lucha Above Ground these days. We get a lot of Lucha these days. Crash Holly's theme. So generic, but went hard. They used a lot of generic production music back then. The Hardys music, the Hardy Boys music is a production track. I still hear it in commercials from time to time. Yes, that's right. Yes. The Rikishi dive off the cage. Onto Val Dumbshit. That's right. That was also on that show. And nobody ever talks about it. Nobody ever talks about that. To me, that is one of the more impressive sights, spots, stunts, whatever you want to call it, that WWE has ever done. My palms were like, I remember watching that, my palms were sweaty. Because you got just the regular mesh cage, and Rikishi's a big guy. You know, he's up there and he's got the big ass and everything. He could very easily tip over and fall backwards. And he climbs to the top, like the tippy top of that cage. And he's in the corner and he's holding on to the beam, like the corner beam. And it would be scary enough if he did like a big splash from the top of the cage there. But man, he starts to inch his way over towards the center. And he has nothing to hold on to. And he's just inching over slowly, inching until he gets to the center. And he does this dramatic, like just look straight ahead. And the hard cam gets a zoom in, like a close-up shot of his face. And the building feels like it's shaking. I think you see the camera shaking. And I'm just like, I'm sweating bullets over here. And I'm not even in the match. And then you also like, what must Val be thinking as he's laying there on the mat down below? Taking this spot. You see this giant man jumping off the top of the cage and he's going to land on top of you and knock all the wind out of you. And it's like, holy shit. That could have gone so wrong. But it was incredible. How that's not in all the like opening montages or highlight package when they have classic, I have no idea. That's more impressive than most. Yeah, Undertaker threw him off the Hell in a Cell, but to me, that's not as impressive. The Rikishi cage match bump with Val Venus is far more impressive to me. Even though the Hell in a Cell is technically a little bit higher. It wasn't even a chokeslam. All Undertaker did was he just shoved him backwards. And there's this giant truck with all the hay. That was his landing pad. That looked easy compared to what he did in the match with Val. Yeah, it's why I always say, man, WWE in 2000, to me, I think overall, top to bottom, that's their best year. Creatively, the talent they had, the killer matches that they put on. Probably just the overall excitement of the product. 2000 to me is like peak. It is. Look at all the pay-per-views they did that year. So many great pay-per-views. Royal Rumble, Backlash, Fully Loaded, Judgment Day. Yeah, what a great year. Great video game too, huh? I didn't play too much of it, but they did have a WrestleMania 2000 video game. Yeah, and that's considering that year they barely had any Steve Austin. Stone Cold was out for like 9 months that year. Rock and Triple H, man. I mean, they had a great supporting cast of characters with the Radicals and Kurt Angle and Rikishi, and Shane McMahon was going out there having crazy. I mean, think about this. I mean, that was the year where Shane had the match with Kurt Angle at the King of the Ring. And I think it was SummerSlam that year, right? That he had that hardcore match with Steve Blackman where he took that just insane backwards bump off the beam, the scaffolding, whatever you want to call it, like 50 feet. Backwards. He just falls backwards. Who does that? Who does that? He does. Because he's out of his mind. Warm Corn. 2000 was a good year, but WrestleMania 2000? No, well, I said the video game. I didn't mean WrestleMania itself that year was, yeah, no. Absolutely not. Oh, 2001 King of the Ring. Right. But it was 2000 SummerSlam, I believe, when he took that bump from Steve Blackman. There's James. The year 2000 is when I became a wrestling fan, he says. Well, congrats. 26 years of you being a wrestling fan. Are you feeling old yet? Solomonster playing WrestleMania 2000 would be better than Raw. Yes, I think Solomonster watching WrestleMania 2,000 times would be better than Raw. Harry says, I've been a wrestling fan for 27 years. Wow. Man, Joe, that Joe guy's got you all beat. It's like, wait until you get to 41 years of watching pro wrestling. You see, it's spoken like a true grizzled vet. He's seen some shit. He's been in the trenches. You're like me. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me on a Monday night. We always have to try to entertain ourselves, especially on nights like this, where I just thought, on the whole, Raw was pretty boring tonight. It had its moments, but yeah, not the most exciting show. Jeremy says WrestleMania 2000 sucks, but the pay-per-view had a cool look. It had a cool song. Remember that song, California? Do you know I was one of the schmucks who actually sat through WrestleMania all day long? The big pre-show thing, which was like 6 hours. Actually, no, it wasn't 6 hours. I think it was like 10 hours. Yeah, I was one of the idiots who sat through it. That was before WrestleMania even started that night. That was actually better than WrestleMania that night. So tomorrow, some programming notes here. Tomorrow, as I said before, is a brand new episode of the Uncrowned Wrestling Show dropping later in the afternoon. You know where to go for that. If not, check the description down below. I have a link to the feed for the Uncrowned Wrestling Show. There will be no Tuesday Night Titans tomorrow. One of the Titans will not be here, so we cannot do the show. However, we will be doing TNT, but on Thursday night for 1 week only. So we will be bumping the show back by 2 days. Wednesday night is the Dynamite post show. Friday night is the SmackDown post show. And then we have a brand new sound off next Sunday, and the cycle repeats all over again. So that is where you can find me. I hope you will join. I hope you will tune in. Yes, I was also one of the schmucks who paid $8 for a sock. Yes, Mr. Socko. I bought Mr. Socko from WWE Shop. They only gave me one sock. I paid $8 plus shipping. So technically I paid $12 for one sock. I still have that sock, by the way. Maybe we'll bust out Mr. Socko one of these nights. And when we have another show like this, I can strangle myself with Mr. Socko. I will shove the sock down my own throat, under my mandible, and give myself the mandible claw. Maybe Friday. The way SmackDown's been going, that could happen this week. Be well. Stay safe. And I will see you guys back here Wednesday night for the Dynamite post show. Come on by. We'll try to do Be the Booker again. Until then, I want you to acknowledge me.